It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Hey, I'm Zanzi. Welcome back at your Feel Good Breakfast Show opening up on S3 right now. And considering it is a Tuesday, it means it is a Health Tuesday. And we're choosing to bring you the best in conversation and the best in assisting you when it comes to things like acne, which isn't just skin deep. I think this is what impacts confidence. Acne impacts identity and emotional health. And I think for many teens and young adults, it's one of the biggest hurdles during puberty. So how much of it is hormonal? How much of it is lifestyle? And how can we take the stigma out of bad skin days? Well, to help us unpack the science and the solutions, we are joined by pediatrician Dr. Anisa Vahid, as well as dermatologist Dr. Nompelo Gansho in the building. One of the most incredible panels I can think of to help us discern between this chaos. Firstly, ladies, how are we doing this morning?
Good, nice and warm.
Warming up. Listen, the skin's looking good and it's glowing, so clearly products of the product. But let's talk about this first, Dr. Gansho. What do we see in the mirror when we're looking at acne, when we're looking at eczema and these things that we maybe don't like on our face? What is it actually that we're looking at? What are the most common types of these acnes that may occur?
So the most common one is what we call comedonal acne. So what basically that is your blackheads and your whiteheads, which is the common thing that everyone knows. And what everyone don't see is what we call back acne. It basically means all those red pimples with pus and all on the back. And also another one that is severe that can lead to scarring is your nodular-cystic acne. Okay. So it's those big ones,
the
that
ones
makes
that everyone
people,
just doesn't want to go to school.
that makes people uncomfortable.
Yeah, man, we've all been
those
through
ones,
that. So, Dr. Vahid, what's actually happening here? Is this puberty? Is it hormones? Like, what's going on in the body that's resulting in this look?
So I think when parents are thinking about their teenagers and the big word puberty, and I think there's a lot of things that's going on to transition to adulthood. So there's not just the physical changes, but there's a lot of things that's going on below the skin. And I think that's where our dermatologists are always concentrating on what's happening below the skin. And the big thing is it's hormones. So puberty hormones are the big triggers. So primarily our androgens. So our testosterone is normally one of the big triggers that normally starts off our acne. And that will start our sebaceous glands producing excess sebum. And then that'll start that nasty cascade of like acne and oil and clogged pores. And that's when we'll start kind of going into like, do we need to actually clean the skin? What are we doing? And especially with our females, it's that estrogen. So it's that cyclical estrogen that will activate a lot of those glands to reactivate that acne every month.
Okay, as complex as this might sound for many, this is kind of alluding to the fact that this is normal.
Yes.
Right? There's nothing wrong with us
No.
if we're going through this process. We shouldn't be looking in the mirror thinking, oh, there's something wrong with me, I have a problem. Or
Everyone goes through
a
it.
natural process that we'll go through. But when it comes to, let's say, Dr. Gansho, things like our diet, our stress, maybe even sleep, does this have a further impact on our skin and, let's say, these breakouts or the appearance that we are talking about right now?
So as Anisa have said, there's those factors involved, the sebum production, the hormones and all. So the diet basically is one of the factors that can. So research has showed that when you are eating food that is high in glycemic, so which means white bread, the fizzy drinks, your sodas, they can also make you to produce more sebum and inflammation and stress levels. So when you're stressed up, your stress hormones, which is your cortisol, get increased. When that is high, it also leads to that androgen, your sebum production and the inflammation, so which also adds to you getting acne. Not sleeping. When you don't sleep, you don't shed off your skin, so your pores become blocked, and then there is that inflammation on your skin. There's a bacteria associated with acne that feeds on that sebum, and then you ended up with the inflammation. And also your skin don't heal properly, so all of those things are important for you to have a good skin, and also good skin care to help those to unplug and clog your pores and all of
if
that.
we can get these factors right,
Everything,
it can potentially assist us in reducing the effects that these sort of transitions are going to have on our bodies. Now, here's maybe more of a more loaded question, Dr. Vahid. Maybe I can ask you this. There's like a stigma around this appearance, this transition that we go through. I mean, I even dealt with it in school as well. And it's a difficult thing to go through. Now, I mean, your kids come up to you and they're struggling with this like issue and like, Mom, I want to do something about my face and my appearance. What can be done? How should parents deal with this when teens are expressing that they are like being picked on, being made fun of, and they're not happy with their own appearance?
So acne's not just a temporary thing, it's a lifelong thing.
Yeah.
And I think our big thing is that trying to teach our children that they need to learn how to deal with the acne, but also what's going on with their body changes. Because I think the sooner that us parents start teaching our children how to deal with their body, how to deal with the acne, how to treat it properly, they're not going to run into issues already in adulthood, but we can avoid those further complications. But I think the big thing also is we're dealing with a lot of bullying and low self-esteem. And I think with research that's going on, that actually if we don't control that early on, that's going to lead towards anxiety and depression already later on. So we need to kind of go into that body positivity already as early as like 8 or 9 years old, so that we can actually avoid all of those further complications from complications of scarring, but also those behavioral issues.
It's so crazy because I think to myself, like, I remember when being in school and so many of us were dealing with this problem, but I think because we were all dealing with it together, it kind of made it like a bit of like the norm in a sense. And I think this is really a conversation that needs to happen more often, because this is the norm that we're literally talking about. Before we go though, and I know we do have a part 2 to this, but from both of your perspectives, when do you think it is a good time to maybe seek actual help when the problem has gotten to a point where you actually need to look beyond the personal care that you're taking and seek help from a dermatologist, a pediatrician, or professional?
Yeah, I think for me, if you have been, because everyone always go to over-the-counter products, so if you have been using those for 6 to 8 months and you are not seeing anything, it's time for you to go. But also those severe acne, I think also for skin of color, what is important is the post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, which is actually the thing that makes them to go and seek for help. Remember, acne scars. So that's what causes the low self-esteem, that scarring that you have from acne. So I think also it is important that we also say, if you have tried, it's not working, or your self-esteem, you're not feeling good, just go early, because the doctors can script you something that will work much better than what you get over the counter.
Oh, this is absolute sage advice. Ladies, thank you so much. We aren't going to be going anywhere with this conversation, carrying on and diving deep into the issues that are resulting in this appearance, in this transition, and of course, our teens that are going through it right now. Before we do though, it is Health Tuesday, so let's see what Chris has on her side of the fronts when it comes to assisting and standing on the front line.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Hey, I'm Zanzi. Welcome back. It's your Feel Good Breakfast Show, and welcome back to some incredible conversation. It's Health Tuesday, and I couldn't be more proud to have these incredible panels together. And of course, as we celebrate Youth Month, we've got a health chat with Dr. Anisa Vahid as well as Dr. Nompelo Goncha, who is, again, and both of them looking beyond acne and into how hormones, gut health, and even social media pressures are influencing the way young people view their skin. So ladies, thank you for part 1 of our conversation. It really educated us in terms of understanding the normality of acne and what we go through as young teens, right? I wanted to ask you, maybe Dr. Vahid, in terms of hormones and those imbalances, can it trigger maybe more severe or prolonged effects?
I think so. So I think what we tend to find is sometimes when we start seeing acne starting off a bit too early, that'll already trigger us to say there's a hormone imbalance.
What's too early when you...
So 8-year-old is, so for puberty to start, it normally starts 8 years old for girls and around 9 years old for boys. So if we're seeing that from already the ages of 2 to 3 years old and they're starting to come out with that typical puberty acne, we're already going, no, something's going on. Because we need to get on top of those hormones early on to not only help the skin, but also growth and development. So we're looking at what's going on with physical changes and what's going on with the acne. But if there's something that's out of the norm, or we're looking at and we're seeing that there's something else that's going on in their body that's just kind of triggering us to say there's a hormone imbalance, we need to get on top of it and investigate it early on so that we can make sure that we can get onto treatment early.
Okay, that makes absolute sense. Dr. Goncha, if I could maybe play a hypothetical here. Let's pretend that both of you were best friends in school, both representing the same sort of skin problems and outbreaks, and you're both having these issues. Would you treat your skin differently to Dr. Vahid, considering that you have a darker complexion, you have black skin, and that might result in different treatment? Is that maybe the case? Would it be the case in this example?
It's actually nice that you mentioned that, because we just found out now in the back room that we're both from the Eastern Cape.
So this could have been an example, actually.
Yes. So to answer your question, it's actually when it comes to skin of color, the biggest thing is scarring. So I always say to my patient, white skin is forgiving compared to the black skin.
Yeah.
And also another thing that people tend to forget is black skin is very sensitive. So acne treatment, it irritates the skin. So when it comes to giving anything to a black skin, you have to take that into consideration. So you have to start slow, and then you tell your patients, this is what's going to happen. But if there's any reaction, you need to see those people. So it's basically starting slow and increasing, even with oral medication, is the same. And also that post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, it lingers on for a black skin.
Sure, look at my scars now. I'm like, why are they so dark? Why do they stand out like this? They don't want to blend in.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem.
Okay, that makes absolute sense. Dr. Veit, is there a connection between our gut health? Because we've been having conversations about for quite some time this year, realizing it's connected to so much, our stress, our health. Is our skin also in some way connected to this too?
So there's an ongoing evidence going between, we call it the gut, brain, and skin axis. So where what you take in and what you digest and how your body controls those mechanisms will control how your brain controls the body and how your skin will show off those changes. So we're looking at things like how inflammation will happen. So if your gut is kind of regulating those short chain fatty acids with inflammation, that might kind of go out of whack if your gut health isn't good. We're looking at also immune function. So if your immune system isn't really regulating properly, you're going to be an increased risk of getting infections, and that can control also how your acne gets infected. The other big thing is your metabolism. So obviously if you're taking in too many foods, like the junk foods that was mentioned earlier, then your sugar metabolism will also increase that amount of oiliness in your skin.
Gosh, and this is like junk food time for a teen. That's all they want to be chowing. It's like kryptonite. No, okay. So there's a cost to all these decisions we make, but I think there's a bigger cost when we look at things like social media. We look at how we are seeing this perfect world, perfect skin, almost creating this unrealistic standard of beauty, which isn't real. I mean, everybody's going through these transitions. Everyone's going through these problems. Dr. Gonsha, how do you think our teens are internalizing this unrealistic beauty standard, and what can we do to eradicate this? Because it's not the norm.
I think for me it's double the impact, because I have a 16-year-old in my house and I deal with teenagers most of the time.
You've seen this right now, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. So I think what I also preach in my house, when I see my patients in my work as well, it's important that they know that what they see in social media is not for real.
Yes.
So I always try and go back. Let's look at those people in real life without the filters, because the influencers, we see them all the time. They come, their skin is not perfect, they want the treatment. So I think us as doctors, it's important that we teach the teenagers that what they see outside is not for real. We give them the truth, what is happening, with the help of the parents as well. And so that they can understand this is the phase they are going through. There are treatments involved and nothing is perfect. I think teaching them about the skin health is important. Use the products that are driven by science behind. That is very important. Treat as early as possible, explain what is going on, and adjust true information to them in this world that is full of misinformation is very important. So we just have to guide them through.
Guide, discern, and just sift through all the nonsense, essentially. I think with it being Youth Month, I can't be more grateful for both of you being on the couch. So thank you for your sage words of wisdom.
As well.
If we can leave us with maybe just some imparting words of wisdom, just to add to this, maybe to our youngsters out there that are dealing with these issues, dealing with skin problems. In hindsight, what advice would you have to them, considering that you've been through this process as well?
I think the big thing for me is that learn to know your own body. I think early on, because if you know how to manage your flare-ups, when a flare-up happens, it's not going to be such a big deal.
Yeah.
But I think the big thing is don't let your outer appearance define who you really are. I think you need to be confident in your skin early on.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both so much. I can't be more grateful, and I think you've definitely given us a reason to be proud and confident in our own skin, and that's what it's about. Mzansi Health Tuesday couldn't be any better, but we're going to keep the show rolling on.